Morning, this is Monty once again from DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7, 365 tech, sales, and customer support. We have perhaps the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent or lay away as well. As I always mention, we have the largest video library, largest articles directory, and other educational resources. Bar none in the industry, no other company in this industry offers you as much educational information. We rather have you educated rather than have you as a customer. Customers are less important at DPL Surveillance Equipment as compared to educated individuals. So that's our primary goal. Make sure you can go to the website and you can look at videos, you can read articles, listen to podcasts, and read blogs and such. Okay, that's very important to us. Now today's particular session has to do with something that my wife brought to my attention the other day, and it's really, really pressing. It's really, really timely, and that your faithful United States government looks like they're showing signs of desperation, which is typical of when the empire starts collapsing. Signs of desperation start to show. In other words, they go way beyond what the Constitution allows, what common sense allows, what natural rights allow. Your government goes way beyond that. They violate and step over every single right, privilege that the citizens have been granted. Particularly in this case, it has to do with the IRS and passports. Now, once upon a time, I think in 1918, there was no such thing as passports. Believe it or not, you could freely travel from country to country, and the whole world was your playground, so to speak. It wasn't a big issue. You didn't belong here, you didn't belong there. You belonged to where you traveled to. That's where you belong. It makes sense to me. But some idiot got the impression that you shouldn't travel anywhere unless you are getting permission from some centralized authority, and if they didn't give you permission, then you had to stay within the confines of the yard, like a yard dog or a guard dog or something, who has a fence, and you can't violate going over the boundaries of the fence. Okay? It's like a dog, right? That's what happened in 1918. Someone decided that people were going to be restricted, and you have to prove your right to travel, and they gave you a passport, and then they said as long as you keep your passport and your paperwork in order, then you can travel. Okay, so that was the initial implementation of passports for United States citizens. Now this particular situation here is kind of interesting. You may want to pay attention. The IRS is taking a look at sending a document to the State Department whenever they notice taxpayers being delinquent. Now, right now, the delinquency is like $51,000. If you're behind in your taxes to the tune of $51,000, then they will send a copy of a letter to you, notifying you that there's a problem, and simultaneously, as if you're guilty before proven innocent, a copy goes to the State Department, and the State Department will be notified that this person is technically not allowed to travel with his or her passport. And if you're going to get your passport renewed, that passport will not be renewed until this issue is resolved. Now, there are some exceptions. If you're what they call an innocent spouse, that means your husband or the wife has done something, and you can prove that you had nothing to do with whatever's caused that delinquency and the taxes being paid, then you technically shouldn't have a problem. But you need to get the paperwork approved, of course, by your slave master, and you prove to them that you're an innocent spouse. There are a few more exceptions to the rule. If you declared bankruptcy or are going to declare bankruptcy or something like that, and you get that documentation approved, that's another exception. If you want to make installments, or you have a hardship case or something, and you can prove that you indeed have a hardship case financially, and you get that approved, then that's an exception. So there are a few exceptions where you can be allowed to travel, but you have to get it approved and signed off on by your faithful slave master. Otherwise, you can't travel. You have to stay home. Okay. Now, this violates the whole idea of having a citizenry in your country where people, by way of the Constitution, are technically allowed to go and come as they please. Maybe you could find it, but I can't see anything in the Constitution that says the country's governing body has the right to restrict travel for the citizenry. I haven't seen anything saying that the IRS can call the State Department or vice versa, or that, if you look at someone the wrong way, or if you don't pay your taxes, if you do this, you do that they have a right to restrict your travel. I thought travel was a manifest right, or a natural right, as they call it. But obviously things have changed somewhere along the line. When you have these dictatorship governments like you do in the United States, then anything's possible, right? The citizens just assume that whatever the government says is perfectly okay, and then they go along with it, right? So it's better to strip the people from all the rights and the privileges first, and then you give back slowly. If you give back at all, you give back slowly anything that you took from them that shouldn't have been taken from them, or that they're finally aware of. So when people wake up, then you start to take a look at working with those who are waking up as compared to those who are asleep at the wheel, overly medicated, so to speak. Anyway, this is why I'm a big proponent of Bitcoin. That way, when the government starts using these electronic measures to cut you off from your bank, to cut you off from travel, to cut you off from voting, to cut you off from this and that, because there is now a centralized lever or a centralized switch, then that's what they do. They pull those centralized levers and switches and different things, and then they cause you to not be able to do things, whether that means send money, receive money, get access to money or travel or whatever it is. That's what they do. So make sure you understand that Bitcoin is all the more important when you take a look at what the government is doing and what they can do, because no one can take your Bitcoin from you. Just like me, a lot of you who know me, we put money into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and we put that in a separate hard wallet, and we put that away so that that's beyond the reach of anyone. Okay? There is no such thing as taking my account and seizing it, or preventing me from sending you $1 million or whatever amount of money that I want to send you or that you want to send me because of the way Bitcoin works. The decentralized, peer-to-peer, permissionless, censorship-resistant, borderless technology and characteristics of Bitcoin don't allow for that type of shenanigans. So you guys need to wake up and understand this is another shot over the bow for the citizens. When you take away their privileges of traveling from country to country, that means you stay here, you suffer the consequences of an irresponsible, mismanaged government bureaucracy that you have in the United States. And if they want to seize your money and confiscate your property and throw you in jail, whatever, then that's what they're going to do. So you either start making plans. And my cat Lazy Bones, he's agreeing also. He says, look, cats travel naturally and normally, and nobody restricts them, except for me, of course. With him, that's different. I'm trying to protect him. It seems to be working, but he agrees definitely that Bitcoin is the way to go, and distancing yourself from government rule and control is not the way to go. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this session up. I'll probably associate this podcast with an article about the same subject, but keep your eyes and ears open because it looks like your government is collapsing. They're getting desperate, and they're going to tell you where to go, where not to go. And if you don't like it, then that's too bad because you're guilty before proven innocent, right? Anyway, you guys have a great day and have fun out there. Thanks. Take care. Bye.